a possible GOP nominee in 2016, we should all therefore shut up, ignore the facts, and pretend that the fat man is the greatest since sliced bread. On this program yesterday, we got a call from one of those people.
I'm a longtime listener, loved you for years, but you are literally pissing me off. You are poisoning the well for 2016. If Christie ends up the nominee, we have to vote for him. I just don't like that every time I turn you on, which is when I'm in the car every day, you are constantly poisoning the well the same way you did with Romney. You didn't support Romney. You supported Santorum. Was a great guy. But
whatever. Okay. Poisoning the well for 2016. Told you last year, this is the year to decide. This is the year to decide who you are and if you are going to break again. Because very shortly, people are going to start telling you, shut up, because we have to vote for. We have decided who we are last year. Judy and anyone else who feels this way, I want you to listen carefully. This isn't the show for you. Let me tell you what we do on this show. We tell the truth as we know it. It's not our job to make sure the Republicans get elected at just any cost. We will tell you what we truly believe. We hope in the coming year in a more entertaining way to make sure that you are informed and have some fun along the way. But we have never, ever been and never, ever will be shills for the Republican Party. Frankly, I think people like Judy are going to be absolutely shocked during the next few years. Because I can tell you, I am not the only one who's had it with the GOP. Sean Hannity has had it with the GOP. Mark Levin has had it with the GOP. The biggest, quote, shill of the GOP, as they have always liked to say, Rush Limbaugh, has had it with the GOP. We do this for a living. We've had our fill. So if you're looking for shills for a political party, you're going to probably have to shake talk radio. You'll have to, I don't know, well, you want to find a shill, you can tune to MSNBC. You can tune into NBC, ABC, CNN, CBS. You can pretty much watch anything on television right now because they're all shills for the GOP and the Democrats. You could read the New York Times or the Washington Post. You can turn on primetime television. You can watch a new Hollywood movie. There are plenty of people who will simply tell you what you want to hear. But on this program, on this show, we don't care about what you want to hear. We'll tell you what we think. We'll tell you what we believe. And we don't believe in the political parties. We don't give a rat's ass about the GOP or the DNC. When I've said in the past, I hate politics, I've never been interested in politics, I don't think you are either. The only reason why I talk politics on this show is because they're forcing us to talk politics on this show. And when I say that, I don't mean the Zionist master. What I mean is Washington is so up in our face in our life, we have to spend time battling them. If they would mind their own business, I wouldn't talk about a donkey or an elephant for the rest of my life. Because I don't care. What I care about, my family, my faith, my God, my day ahead, my plans, my values. And that's the word that brings us back to Chris Christie. Chris Christie doesn't share any of my values, Judy. Now, maybe he shares yours. And if he does, good. Vote for him. Knock yourself out. But I am not going to play the game ever, ever again. And I say again, for like the 1500th time on this program, Stu, I am telling you to slap me if I start sounding like Judy. Pat, slap me now.
Be happy to. Right now?
Only
simultaneously?
No,
practice.
only
Same time.
one.
Should we just give it a practice shot?
What can I have in my hand when I do it? Can I have like a brass knuckles?
Let me tell you
backhand?
that Judy has accused all of us for poisoning the well for Mitt. In the last election, we initially supported pretty much everybody, I believe.
At one
point, we went through everybody.
Yeah,
Rick Santorum was he our first? No, Michelle Bachmann, I think, was our first. Then we went to Rick Santorum. We went to people like Rick Santorum and Michelle Bachmann because we thought they flat out more consistently they were conservative. Michelle Bachmann had Tea Party values.
We flirted with Rick Perry. We had a lot of people that we liked.
We were looking for the person who was the person that best represented our values. And as each person that we liked was dismissed, we went, okay, well, how about this one? Yeah. And yes, just as the rest of the nation, we got down to Mitt Romney. But at the primary time, that's an argument between Republicans. That's the season when you don't settle for the lesser of two evils. You go for the person that you think is really right. But that wasn't good enough for many members of this audience. We didn't trash Mitt that I know of. There were times that we spoke hard truths that we believed, but when he was the nominee, we fought hard for him. We actually became fairly converted to Mitt as a presidential candidate there at the end. I think maybe the hypnosis worked until the second debate, and then it was fully over by the third debate. But I will tell you, this is not going to happen with Chris Christie. It can't happen with Chris Christie, and it won't happen with Chris Christie or any other progressive Republican that comes along. I am done getting to the general election and saying, well, he's a teeny bit better than the Antichrist he's running against. Sure, he's not Beelzebub. I'll just overlook the horns that he has on his hat. He's more Pol Pot in nicer shoes. To be honest, Chris Christie reminds me a lot of our current president. Why? Because Barack Obama is a progressive. Chris Christie is a progressive. I know. Hearsay. Oh boy, he's poisoning the well again. Yes, Judy, there are some differences. But sadly, there are too many frightening similarities as well. Let me take them one by one. If you still are saying, well, we've got to support because he might be the candidate, here are the similarities between Barack Obama and Chris Christie on global warming.
Climate change is real, and it's impacting our state. There's undeniable data that CO2 levels and other greenhouse gases in our atmosphere are increasing. Mm-hmm. Decade average temperatures have been rising, and temperature changes are affecting weather patterns in our climate. In order to best deal with climate change, we have to understand its causes. But when you have over 90% of the world's scientists who have studied this, stating that climate change is occurring and that humans play a contributing role, it's time to defer to the experts.
Okay, so we're going to defer to the experts. You heard his case. Pretty good case, right? Let's listen to Barack Obama on climate change.
Decades of carefully reviewed science tells us our planet is changing in ways that will have profound impacts on the world we leave our children. Already we know that the 12 warmest years in recorded history have all come in the last 15. And that last year was the warmest in American history. And while we know no single weather event is caused solely by climate change, we also know that in a world that's getting warmer than it used to be, all weather events are affected by it.
Okay, they sound like the same person, don't they? In fact, they are almost the same person. I mean, if you're just looking for a liar, because they're both absolutely wrong or just lying about warming. The actual truth on global climate change, it hasn't warmed in 15 years. Let me say it again. The globe has not gotten warmer in the last 15 years. But why not get, past all of that and just listen to what they said? Exactly the same thing. But that's only global warming. Let's find out how Chris Christie and the president feel about the Second Amendment. Surely he's not for strict gun control laws like President Obama is.
You have supported the gun control laws, which are pretty strict in the state of New Jersey.
I have, because that's what the people of our state want. And they've been found to be constitutional under the United States Constitution. So, I don't have any problem with that. Oh,
okay. All right. Okay. All right. I believe the president has also supported stricter restrictions on guns because the people wanted it. Of course, now the president has been a little more transparent. The people who wanted it were those victims of tragedy.
They blocked common sense gun reforms, even while these families looked on from the Senate gallery.
Forget the United States Constitution. There are some people who want this. Here's Christie on state tuition for illegals. And he's answering whether he's still for comprehensive immigration reform. Then it'll go right into the president on the same subject. Listen carefully.
We need to get to work in the state legislature on things like making sure that there's tuition equality for everybody in New Jersey.
Do you still favor comprehensive immigration reform, including a path to citizenship?
Well, Chris, what I favor is fixing a broken system. And the fact is that everybody knows the system is broken. And what Congress needs to do is get to work, working with each other and the president to fix a broken system.
I'm here because most Americans agree that it's time to fix a system that's been broken for way too long.
Oh, my goodness.
I'm here today because the time has come for common sense, comprehensive immigration reform.
Holy cow. They could be each other's speechwriters now, couldn't they? Right now, Christie is embroiled in a scandal where one of his longtime friends, in fact, someone that is often described as a lifelong friend, arranged for massive traffic problems to happen in New Jersey just to gain revenge on a political opponent. Now, getting revenge on an enemy, a political enemy, that doesn't sound familiar at all, does it?
But they're going to be paying attention to this election. And if Latinos sit out the election, instead of saying we're going to punish our enemies and we're going to reward our friends who stand with us on...
Oh, boy, okay. Oh, all right, that doesn't sound good. Now, as the scandal heated up, Christie quickly distanced himself yesterday from his, quote, lifelong friend.
23 years without seeing each other. And in the years we did see each other, we passed in the hallways. So I want to clear that up.
Okay, all right. He barely knows the guy. Just like our president, when the association with terrorist Bill Ayers came up.
This is a guy who lives in my neighborhood, who's a professor of English, who engaged in detestable acts 40 years ago when I was 8 years old. Okay, so regardless of how flimsy the relationship is.
Okay, he didn't. And how about Rashid Khalidi? Do you remember him?
Mentioned Rashid Khalidi, who's a professor at Columbia. I do know him because he taught at the University of Chicago.
Okay.
And he is Palestinian. And I do know him, and I have had conversations. He is not one of my advisors.
Right.
He's not one of my foreign policy people.
Okay, all right. Who? My wife? My wife. She embezzled funds from the bank? I mean, I do know her. We went to the same church together, but I mean, I've barely even seen her in 30 years. She is a person who, in the past, I will pass in the kitchen from time to time. She's the mother of several of my children, who I've also taken care of in the past. But to say there's a relationship there with my, quote, wife, I think that's quite a stretch. Christie and Obama have a lot in common. They're two peas in a pod, a really, really big pod. I mean, a huge, like Astrodome-sized pod, but two peas in the pod. And here's the truth. Because they have so much in common, I really have no interest in 2016. I will not accept, nor will I ignore, nor will I vote for Barack Obama light. Or Barack Obama heavy. I mean, light policy-wise, heavy otherwise. And that is the truth on who Christie is and why we will continue to tell the truth on this program, whether you choose to like it or not. We will continue to tell you what we believe is the truth. Although I did appreciate it when Chris Christie went for the walk with the president right before the election. I thought that was really good. I thought that was helpful.
Yeah, when they walked on the beach.
I don't think he poisoned the well there at all.
No, that was great.
It was super. It was super fantastic.
And like you just said a few minutes ago, it was such a critical time in the election cycle.
That was it.
I mean,
when he did that, it was over. All of us saw that image, and we all went, "It's over."
Yeah.
And every single American.
And
did
as you're
that.
seeing right now, the president is returning the favor with his big support for. Oh no!
Oh wait,
he's not doing anything for Chris Christie when he needs him.
No, but he doesn't need to. The press is doing it for him. The press is doing it for him. Well, I shouldn't say that. Some members of the press are actually defending Chris Christie. Some members are strangely saying this is the worst thing ever. But they didn't have a problem when the president used the IRS to attack his political opponents. They just seem to gloss over that one. They're two peas in a very large pod.